First of all, congratulations. I hadn't had a chance to say that. And welcome to the Trudy Haynes Show. Now let's get down to brass tacks. When did you come into Washington?
November the 8th is when I won the election, 2016. I was sworn in November the 14th. I've been in this particular position 1 year, 1 month, and I have enjoyed it immensely. I'm very proud that the voters of the 2nd Congressional District have given me this opportunity. And all my predecessors, as I said to you earlier, this is the very same seat, district change somewhat, that Robert N.C. Nix held in 1958. He was the first African American in the history of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is over 300 years old, and Robert N.C. Nix was the first African American congressman in Pennsylvania. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then he was followed by
Congressman Gray, who went on to become William H. Gray, who went on to become the budget chair as well as the majority leader of the majority whip, I should say, of the United States Congress. And Congressman Gray was an intern for Congressman Nix. So that whole connection, I'm trying to build on the shoulders of both of those individuals who really laid the groundwork. As I said, Nix was the person who was one of the original founders of the Congressional Black Caucus in 1971. So from that perspective, Pennsylvania, as the Keystone State, played a significant role as one of the original 13 states, is extremely significant in the sense of Nix, Pennsylvania, one of the original 13 states, and then there's Philadelphia. As you know, that's where it all started. So there's some connection between Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Nix, and the importance of what Pennsylvania plays in terms of this nation.
So you're what would be called a neophyte.
I say to people over again, I'm new, but I'm not new to this game. I call myself the Satchel Paige of the process. That's how. Well, because that's exactly it. My history in Philadelphia, and the same thing with Satchel Paige in the Negro Baseball League. He went from the Negro Baseball League to go to the majors. Well, I was in the state house for 36 years, and I held the same position that Ben Franklin held. He was chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, and I was chairman of the House Appropriation Committee. So I've been around, Philadelphia all my life and Pennsylvania all my life. I'm very proud of being from Philadelphia and Pennsylvania all my life. So I'm very proud to have this opportunity now to service the people of the 2nd Congressional District.
And it's a bigger part of the pie, isn't it?
No question about it. In the State House, I served about 65,000 people. In this congressional seat, I served 750,000. And let me put that in context to you. There's 350,000 people in the city of Pittsburgh. There's 450,000 people in the city of Atlanta. So you can see for yourself that Pittsburgh, this district is larger virtually than Pittsburgh and Atlanta when you put them together. It's about 750,000 people. The district is 58% African American, 30% white, 4% Asian. Economically, there's a lot of wealth, but there's also a lot of poverty. There's about 195,000 people in poverty. About 26% of the district is in that particular position. And that's an area I've been concentrating on, is trying to address the question around poverty and the inequality that exists in health, in economic opportunity. That's what I've been trying to address.
So the neophyte has already started its campaign, right?
No question about it. Middle neighborhoods, food insecurity, school modernization, and basically trying to have the Trump administration not to do any more harm to the people of the 2nd Congressional District, as well as the city of Philadelphia. So I've been fighting the fight to try to prevent the Trump administration from doing any more harm. The president came to Philadelphia and gave this speech, and what he exactly said is, what the hell do you have to lose? That's his words. And in my view, he particularly said that to the African American community. So what I've been trying to do is ensure that, on his tax policy and on his budget policy, I would argue you're hurting investments in child care, senior programs, economic development, infrastructure, things of that nature. You're moving the city in the wrong direction.
Okay, now let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
Sure.
What can you do, and how close are you to accomplish any of those goals?
Well, I think I'm fortunate to be on two committees that transcend your normal, typical politics. The Ag Committee, better known as the Food Committee. Everybody likes food, right? I've not met anything. The bill gets reauthorized every 5 years. It started in 1933 under Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and this is the 5th year. So food policy is medicine, is foreign policy. So when you say, I can do something, food transcends politics. I mean, it's not like a Democrat, Republican, a liberal, conservative. Food policy, because we have farmers. When I first got appointed to the committee, one gentleman asked me, how many farms do I have in my district? I said, that's the wrong question. What you should say is how many consumers I have in my district. Because there's a connection between food, farming, growing, and resident. And then the other committee I'm on is the Small Business Committee. We need to generate wealth, need to create opportunity. I mean, I always like to use the example of Paul Bill's florist. Been in business for 45 years. He's just one example of the kinds of models that I want to see develop. So with small business and ag, I believe that what I can do below the radar is get some things done.
Of course, as a state legislator, you represented a community.
Correct.
But your statute now is further. It
Right.
extends more than that.
Right, correct. Well, you know, it does, but it's some of the same techniques that I use in what I call my toolbox. I have a mission, but I use the various tools. Communications is extremely important in terms of connecting with people, educating people. I use all of the social media avenues that are available to. We do a lot of op-eds and others just to communicate to people about the problem. So there's what I call the 3 C's. The Constitution, right, which is first and foremost, citizenship and conscience. Constitution, citizenship, and conscience. In the Constitution, there's a section called Article 1, Section 1, that says the power is in the hands of the Congress and the United States Senate. The most important title is not congressman, or senator, or president, it is citizens. Because no one gets here unless they go through the voters. In about a couple of weeks, it'll be what you call open enrollment, meaning that the voters will decide who comes in. So citizenship is very important, Constitution, and last but not least is conscience, which is extremely important because this whole aspect of self-governing is relatively new when you think about people governing themselves, right? It's a new phenomenon. So when we talk about conscience, that means you got to ensure that there's inclusiveness, you know, everybody is involved. You know, we got to address things like racism and sexism and be more inclusive. That's about a person's conscience. You can't do anything more until people understand the importance of inclusiveness. You know, this world is changing, and I believe with younger people, with the demographic shift, just like when President Obama got elected in '08, most people didn't think that was possible, but it was because of the young people and the connection of millenniums and others, the demographics have changed. Look, the days have changed. I learned a lot from John Lewis, one of my heroes, Frederick Douglass, obviously Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman. When you take the conditions that they lived in and you see where we are today, we have made progress. As Congressman John Lewis always liked to say, walk in my shoes. And meaning that if you look at where we are in 2017 versus 1917 or 1850, we have made progress. Are there a lot more things we could do? Yes. And that's the part I said to you about conscience. Conscience is a very important element when it's all said and done. Constitution is the document. Citizenship is something that we all have. But at the end of the day, your conscience is something that really drives you a great deal about how you conduct yourself.
Dwight, in just talking to you now, I can see the growth that has come about in you in just that year. Does it frighten you at all to be here and responsible for so many people?
No, just the opposite. I look forward to this opportunity. I mean, I work very hard about this. I don't take anything for granted. I believe in openness, transparent. And my grandmother, I was just thinking about her this morning, Catherine Odom, she died in 1992. And she used to always say to me, is that right? You know, as a kid and growing up. That used to register a great deal with me. It still registers with me today. I mean, she's a constant reminder, and I will do nothing to embarrass her, my mom, my family, myself. That is very important to me about not doing anything to embarrass yourself. I mean, you have this opportunity, you got to make the most of it.
How can we help you?
Well, I think basically by staying engaged, staying involved. That's in your block, in your household, in your neighborhood, in your church, and in your community. No one can do anything by themselves. And I'm a strong believer that I am my brothers and sisters' keeper. So we need to work together to make a difference. This is a prolonged struggle. It's not something that's just going to be done overnight. We got to work at it. I mean, the fact that you see me now here in the United States Congress, there were 11,000 people in the existence of Congress that have served in this Congress, and just about 200 to 300 African Americans. First African American was in 1870, first woman in 1970. Shirley Chisholm, 1968, ran for president of the United States. It was because of Shirley Chisholm that there was the element of bringing farmers and growers and consumers together. I happened to sit on that committee, that very same committee that Shirley Chisholm sat on. So I have that proudly that somebody like her who set the tone about a good deal. So when you say what can you do, stay involved, keep resisting, and stay woke.
And we, what do we do?
Well, what we do is we having these kinds of discussions, raising the consciousness of people, not giving up, you know, not quitting. It takes effort to do this. This is not for the faint-hearted. This is for a prolonged struggle. If you look, obviously, from we African Americans come from in this country, you see where we are today. We got to keep doing it. And I think, I think we are what I call the saviors of the democracy, and I don't take that lightly. I mean, we are the saviors of the democracy. When you think about it, you know, Dr. King was a patriot. I mean, you know, he was really a patriot. He fought for freedom. Leon Sullivan, equality. Those things you don't take for lightly, and we need to cherish the aspect of fighting for equality, justice, and to make this a better way.
Well, I know all of Pennsylvania is wishing you good well and good luck.
Appreciate that. It means a lot.
And I certainly am. And if you need me, you can call on me. But wait a minute. If they need you, how do they get in touch?
Well, there's my website. They can check out my website and they can easily come contact. But I need to say this to you personally. I thank you, Trudy, for all that you have done for all of us. You're one of those people who would be on my Mount Rushmore in terms of your picture. Seriously, because the tone that you have set from a communication standpoint, I've learned a great deal. And I thank you very much for all that you have done.
We thank you. Congratulations again.